Friedman Freese is one of my favorite game designers because he's always doing things a little bit different, and Faiyum is no different. But is it good? Is it great? Is it bad? Let's talk about it. What does that even mean, Bauer's Game Corner? Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review, and today I'm very excited to check out Faiyum from Friedman Freese and 2F. This is for 1 to 5 players. Take you 2 hours to play it. It's for ages 12 plus. And Faiyum is a very unique game. And if you're not familiar with Friedman Freese, he is the designer of Power Grid. That's his big claim to fame, but he has a whole bunch of other different games. And every time he comes into a game, he's always got a different theme, a unique theme, different mechanisms. He just designs games a bit differently. And in Faiyum, this is a game where you're going to start off with a board, much like any other board. And on this board, you're going to be doing a variety of different things. Because at its core, Faiyum is a simple card-playing game. On your turn, most of the time, you're going to play one of these cards right here, and they will do various different things. They might collect you resources. They might allow you to kill alligators, which will gain you money. It might allow you to build bridges or to build roads, because you're trying to create like this little civilization, I believe, in Egypt, but you have to clear out alligators before you could do it. So it's kind of a resource collection game, and it's kind of an engine building game, because at its core, you're trying to string together these like 100+ different unique cards. And every single one of these cards does something different. And every time it comes up, you have to look up and see what it does. In fact, this is the rule booklet right here, which is, I don't know, about 8 pages. And this is the card booklet right here, which goes in depth, in detail about every single one of the 128 unique cards in the game. And that is where this game becomes so interesting. Because at its core, you start with 5 cards, and then you purchase more cards. So it's kind of like a deck building game. It just has all sorts of different interesting elements to the game. But this is a review. Let's start with the pros, we'll start with the cons, and you'll learn a little bit more about the game as we progress. So first on the con side, the game's not going to be for everybody for a variety of different reasons. I played this with one person who in particular did not like the game, and I believe I've played this 5 times now. I really like this game a lot. Spoiler alert. And that's the kind of person, I don't think they're going to like this game if they have to know everything about the game going into the game. One of those people who wants to know every single rule, they want to know what every single card does, maybe they like to combo things or chain things. They might not like the unpredictability of this game. My buddy Alan was the one that I played this with. We played it 2 players, and I was like, wow, I really like this. And he's like, I see what they did here, but I am not a fan. So you do need to know that going into that. So if you're one of those people, this one's probably not going to be for you. Also, it is 2 hours. It says 2 hours, and I'd say that's just about right. I feel like it's a relatively quick 2 hours, though, because your turns are so simple. And I'll talk a little bit more about the turns later. But it is a lengthier game. You need to know that going into it. Another con that I have with this game is that, no, actually, that's a pro. That's a pro. I'm really drawn for blanks here. Oh, the rules. The rules. That is important. The rules could have been better. There was a couple times where, and you can see they're kind of worn, where I have to go back to them, and I can't put my finger on it, but the rules are not as easy to get to what I want to get to when I want to get to it. Whatever that may be. A glossary or something would have been great on this, but you will learn how to play the game. Any other cons? Because I want to try and do any other cons before I get into the pros, because I'm about to really smooch on this game. And moving on to the pros, I really enjoy Faiyum, and it is my second favorite Friedman Freese game. I'm going to label it in the great. And there's quite a few things that I like about this. So first and foremost, every single time you play this game, it's going to be different because of those 120 whatever different and unique cards in the game, right? But it's not just about those cards and how unique they are and how this one builds roads and this one builds bridges and this one allows you to like rob people and this one oh my gosh, I'll talk about the cards later. But it's the order in which the cards come out, because I haven't talked about one of Faiyum's big selling points, I think, is that it uses the Power Grid auction system somewhat. It's not an auction game, so I don't want to say that, but it has, these 4 cards in the buy row which you're allowed to purchase on your turn, and that's all your turn is. You can either play a card, you can buy a card, or you can do whatever that last third action is, and you do a whole bunch of things on that. And essentially, It's the cleanup. It gets you cards back, which I got to talk about as well, because that's really unique and cool in this game as well. But those are the only 3 actions you're going to take. Buy cards, play cards, or do the third thing, which, once again, you have a very clear, concise card that goes in front of you that tells you exactly what to do step by step, which is big ups to them, because I think that's something that can bump a very good game to a great game, is that streamlining things with a player aid card. But the order in which these cards come out can drastically they can change the game. And so you see the 4 cards in the buy row, but then you also see the 4 cards over here. And each card is numbered. So the weaker cards are down at the bottom, and then the better cards are at the top. So like a 1 would be weak, whereas 112 would be super powerful. But depending on what cards are randomly drawn, you might get that random, 108 that kind of just pops in when it shouldn't pop in. And that can completely change the game and allow people to change their strategy on the fly to say, wow, this card's really amazing. I'm going to fine-tune my game to it. And that's what I really like about this, is there's probably, I'd say, 3 to 6. I don't want to overestimate unique cards in this game that kind of in themselves are different engines that you could try to run. Like, if you get that card, it's like, oh, I could focus my whole game around just this card and how I'm going to make this card work. Or you could do a variety of other different strategies. And that's why I really like this game. Every time I play it, I'm going to explore a different path, and I love that. I love that aspect of this game. And in the future, I know Friedman doesn't normally do a lot of expansions for some of his stuff, so I hope this one's, if it doesn't get as popular, I hope this one gets popular, because more cards in this is just, like if you had half cards or something like that, it's awesome. But the other thing is, cards, a lot of time aren't going to get bought. And that's the thing, too. The market fluctuates really fast, because that third action that I talked about, where you had to do a whole bunch of stuff, also clears out spots in the market, clears out 2 spots in the market. So things are just flying through there. If you're playing at a higher player count, you might see a card and be like, oh, there's the card, oh my gosh, I want the card. Then 2 people do that third action, you're like, the card's gone. You're like, damn it. But it breeds like a really cool moment in the game. And it's just the natural flow of the game, and I love it every time I'm going to try a different strategy. It's almost like a Dominion-style thing, where when I go into this, I will never try the same strategy twice. It's like, I want to try this strategy. There's like a ticket-to-ride strategy, where you have to move people along routes. It's just, I like that. And I feel that that's what makes this a great game for me. Now, I do want to talk about this. I have not played it at 5 players, but I did play it at 4, 3, 2, and 1. So I want to talk about the solo a little bit, because I want to give them a big kudos on the solo. Excuse me. Because the solo it could have been a game like a lot of other games where it was just, see how much reputation you get. Can you get to 150 reputation? You're a master. Can you get to 130? You're great. If you get to 110, you suck. It could have been that. But they took the extra time and the extra effort into doing it, where you can make it into like a campaign style goal, where you're going to have different types of things, and you can get like unlocks and achievements. And I played 1 game of the solo, and I liked it, and I would like to explore it more. But for me personally, I would say if you're looking at this as a solo game, I would recommend trying it before you buy it. Maybe Tabletopia or Simulator, or maybe just watching a gameplay of it to see if it's going to be a game for you. Because I personally really enjoyed the solo game. But the bottom line is, it's a little bit of a how many points can you get, but in a variety of different ways. What I mean by that is, so like this one, it's just you get different goals. This one's place 3 bridges. So essentially it would be like, I'm just trying to you know what? I take that back. I only played it 1 time. So that's what you do need to know about the solo game. But I think it's pretty dang good now that I think about it. Like, I'm going back to my game, and I'm like, you know what? I would like to play it again. So I am reversing on that right now. I think that the solo game is pretty dang good, and I would recommend checking it out if you like the idea of this game, which, once again, is kind of all over the board. And I haven't even mentioned another one of the big cool aspects of the game, which is that when you play cards, so you get these cards in your hand, you buy them, they immediately go into your hand, which makes the engine building very satisfying. And it makes it so you can kind of fine-tune and tweak your engine on the fly. Like, oh, things aren't going quite as well. Oh, there's that card right there. That will immediately go into my hand, which means it could potentially, immediately go into my engine. And I like that aspect of it. When you play a card, it goes down in your discard pile. and your discard pile doesn't get shuffled. When you get to that third weird phase that I alluded to a little bit, where you do a whole bunch of stuff on a card, you get to pick up cards from right there. And you get the top 3 cards, but then you can buy more cards down. So the order in which you play the cards actually can have a pretty big impact on the game. And it's just, the more I talk about this game, the more I just want to be playing it. That is Faiyum from Friedman Freeze. I think it is a great game. I don't think, for me personally, it quite lives up to, what is it? Power Grid. Because Power Grid, to me, I think is in my top 20 games of all time. I think this one could potentially see top 100 maybe one day if I had the expansion, if I play through the solo a little bit more. But right now, it's great. And also, I want to give him a shout-out as well, because he released another game last year, Fear of Bend, which is a really different, unique worker placement game as well, which I also thought was a great game. And I want to say, for my money, Power Grid's still number 1, then Faiyum, then Fear of Bend, then probably Fearsome Floors, and then we'll have a talk about some of the smaller box ones. But for right now, he is on fire. Check it out. That is Faiyum from Friedman Freeze. If you enjoyed what I'm doing, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below as I'm trying to reach 9,000 subscribers to celebrate my 9-year anniversary of making YouTube content. And in the comments below, let me know, break the fourth wall a little bit. Was I a little bit too much loquacious in this one? I'm trying to tweak with how I review, potentially, to see what people like, to see what I like. And this is my first time really trying to do more of a long format and go a little bit more in depth into it. And I want to know what people think about that. But as always, thanks for your time, YouTube. Friedman Freeze! I love your games! Does Faiyum continue the trend? And this bird you cannot change. No, whoa, whoa, whoa. And favorite.